I'm not gonna call this the ultimate chicken soup, but it's a solid 8 out of 10. There's been one thing that I've been making multiple times a week that everybody eats and everybody loves, and that is this chicken soup. We've been traveling around a fair bit during this holiday, and we have 2 kids with us. You know how it is with Airbnbs. Whenever you're traveling around, you never know what you're gonna get, what kind of kitchen equipment they're gonna have. The frying pan's probably gonna suck, the knives are probably gonna suck. But this chicken soup has been something I've been able to make in every kitchen we've been in, because all you need is a pot and some kind of knife. It doesn't even have to be good. And it's become my trusted partner in feeding these kids and making sure that we're all happy and that we're not breaking the bank going out for dinner every day. Everyone has their opinions on what makes the best chicken soup, and I'm not gonna make any sweeping claims about this one, but this is the one that I love, the kids love, and it's fast enough and easy enough to make it multiple times a week. Very low effort, very high payoff. The shortcuts I'm taking are, I'm using store-bought broth. I'm just using a couple stock cubes. You can use your favorite stock, whether that's homemade or better than bouillon, which is a pretty good store-bought option. The other shortcut I'm taking is I'm not using a whole chicken. I'm just using a couple legs with thighs attached. And I find this is the most bang for my buck in terms of flavor. There's very few ingredients involved in this soup. It's really just onions, carrots, garlic, no celery, only because I haven't noticed a lot of celery around. I don't think it's much of a thing here. I like to add a potato, which is, you know, it's always fun to have a little starch on starch action with potato and noodles. I like adding potato because it just adds some nice bulk. And I've got some noodles. I just have broken up spaghetti noodles here, but you can use whatever noodles you want. Smaller the better. I kind of like a little mini noodle for chicken noodle soup. And then we're gonna finish it with some lemon and some fresh dill and optionally a bit of yogurt, which is kind of nice. Okay, so I'm gonna start with one little step that seems a bit extra, but it really does help build the flavor base, and that is to brown the chicken in the pan first. And this really doesn't take any extra time, because while the chicken is browning, I'm gonna chop the veggies. I'm gonna add a little bit of butter for flavor. I'm gonna add in all the veggies minus the potato. I'm gonna add that a bit later. And once the onions look like they're starting to get translucent, I'm gonna add the chicken back in and all the juice. And then I'm gonna add in the chicken stock. I need a bit more water here. And then I'm gonna crank this up to high, bring it to a boil, reduce it down to a simmer, and let it simmer away for about 30 minutes until the chicken is falling off the bone. The main thing about chicken soup that takes a long time is making the broth or the stock. And yeah, a good chicken stock should cook for many hours. Once you've got your base, your stock, the soup is actually pretty quick to make. There's a question that comes up a lot about chicken soup, and that is to skim or not to skim. And my answer is, if you see a lot of foamy bits on top and you don't like them, skim them away. If you don't worry about it. The soup has been simmering with the chicken in there for about 30 minutes. If you were using boneless, skinless chicken breast or even chicken thigh, you could cut that time in half. You basically just need to cook it through. But Chicken on the bone always takes way longer just because it takes a while for it to really get in there, and I want it to be tender enough that it's starting to fall away from the bone. So it's looking pretty good now. I'm gonna take the chicken out and put it on this plate. And then I'm just gonna let the chicken cool down while I throw in the potatoes and the noodles and let those cook. And the potatoes are cut fairly small so that they cook at around the same time as the noodles. I also crank the heat back up because I want the noodles and the potatoes to cook relatively quickly. While those cook, I'm just gonna take the meat off the chicken bones, and I'm gonna do that carefully because it's still fairly hot. We're in the home stretch. So the noodles and the potatoes are nice and cooked. I'm gonna add the chicken back in. And I'm gonna add in the fresh dill. And that's about it. You can use parsley. I just love dill in chicken noodle soup, in any kind of chicken soup. I just love dill in general. You can add parsley, you can use parsley instead. If it's winter, you can use rosemary. That makes it a really nice kind of cozy, wintry, snuggly chicken soup. I'm making this in the middle of summer and it's perfect and fresh and light. So this chicken soup altogether took about an hour. That's because I used the bone-in, skin-on chicken. Again, you can cut this down to about half an hour if you use boneless, skinless. And if you have time, you should let your chicken cool before you try and take it off the bone. It's way, way easier. I haven't added any salt yet, and that's because I used that store-bought stock cube that was really quite salty. So I'll give it a taste now. It actually didn't need any salt in the end. That's an amazingly salty stock cube. I know I said at the beginning that this isn't the ultimate chicken soup. It's more of an 8 out of 10, but it's really, really good. This has pretty much everything I'm looking for in a chicken soup. And it makes the perfect amount for 4 people with a bit of leftovers if you're not too hungry. We'll probably eat this all tonight just between the 4 of us. One of the things that I love so much with this style of chicken soup is to finish it off with a little bit of lemon and a little bit of yogurt. So I'll show you that. So I've got my plain yogurt here, the winning plain yogurt from last week's taste test. And there is a thing that is traditional in Bulgaria where you take plain yogurt and mix it with an egg and then kind of temper that into some chicken soup. And that's cool too, but I don't feel like doing that right now. So I'm just going with straight yogurt. I'm just gonna kind of swirl it in. I love the little bit of tanginess and creaminess that this adds. And then you gotta go with some lemon. This really seals the deal for me. I feel like a bit of lemon can make any soup, even if it's not that great of a soup, into a pretty good soup. Let's see how we did. This is really good. You definitely get that flavor boost from using the bone-in, skin-on chicken. Because I'm using kind of normal stock cubes here, I really appreciate that extra chicken flavor that I get from simmering the bone-in, skin-on chicken in the broth for a bit. And you get a nice extra bit of fattiness because of the chicken skin. It's so good. This is the chicken soup that I have been making and will continue to make on repeat throughout this whole summer because everybody loves it. It's pretty darn easy, pretty quick, and really delicious. Ooh, and lots of bread with butter on the side, please and thank you. I hope I've illustrated that chicken soup doesn't have to be a big deal. Dinner doesn't have to be a big deal. Just make it pretty good. Don't worry about it being the ultimate. And kick back and enjoy. Thanks so much for joining me this week, and I'll see you next time.